Big Future is a free online planning guide that helps you take the right first step after high school. Plus, Big Future can help you win money for college when you plan for college and careers. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors are eligible to win Big Future scholarships, regardless of GPA, test scores, citizenship status, or financial situation. Thousands of students just like you have already won, and you could be next. To earn a chance for yourself, just log into Big Future and complete one of these 6 important steps. With each completed step, you'll earn a chance at a $500 or $40,000 scholarship every month. The more steps you take, the more chances you have to win. To learn more and get started, log into Big Future today.
Hello, and welcome to Big Future Scholarships Week. My name is Shylin Funky. I use she, her pronouns, and I won a $40,000 Big Future Scholarship earlier this year. I'm so thrilled to be kicking off our final Big Future Scholarships Week event, Securing the Bag. First off, we just want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. After a long day of school or work, you could be anywhere else, but we're so glad you decided to spend this time with us. Big Future Scholarships Week is a special week of live free events celebrating the launch of Big Future Scholarships. During these events, you can get your questions answered about choosing a career and education you need to reach it, and learn how sophomores, juniors, and seniors can qualify for monthly $500 and $40,000 scholarships from Big Future. A little more about me. I'm a current freshman at Washington University in St. Louis, double majoring in political science and anthropology, minoring in history, and I'm also studying on the pre-law track. Besides that, I'm from Mansfield, Missouri, and as I said before, I won a $40,000 Big Future Scholarship simply by taking steps to plan for life after high school, and you can too. As a first-generation low-income college student, winning the Big Future Scholarship means so much more to me than I could ever express. And before learning I'd won it, I'd already been accepted to some really, really great schools, but I couldn't afford many of them. And before applying, I'd made sure they were all places that guaranteed to me 100% of demonstrated need, but they still didn't give me enough in scholarships, which is kind of ridiculous, but whatever. I know I'd have to turn them down or go into a lot of debt, which just isn't smart considering that I have to pay for law school in the near future, and I just couldn't justify that. I think that hurt more than getting rejection would have, because it was I was so close, but so far away at the same time, and I actually loved these schools. I hated that I'd worked so hard to get to that point, and then money was going to be the one thing that stopped me, even though they did want me. And it was also okay, money again, it's always money. Why is it money again? Anyways, but as we know, I won the scholarship. And if you ever saw the GMA clip where they told us winners that we got it, you wouldn't be able to tell because my screen froze, but I was literally crying because it was just this huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. I felt a lot less restricted, constrained, it was very freeing, and it took a lot of stress off me, and it just really meant a lot to me. Anyways, besides telling you guys how much the Big Future Scholarship means to me, I think that's also a nice little way to reinforce to you guys that college is expensive. Now, I'm sure that you've heard that there are lots of scholarships out there, but you're probably wondering okay, where do I find them? How do I get them? And how do I actually know they're legit? Well, lucky for you guys, today we're joined by experts from the Coca-Cola Scholars Foundation, the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, Scholarship America, and current college students to answer your questions about scholarships and paying for college. So get your questions ready, and welcome to Big Future Scholarships Week.
Thank you, Shylin, and thank you to all the students and parents who are joining us this evening. Welcome to our final Big Future Scholarships Week event, Securing the Bag. My name is Kat Weiss, and I work on the Big Future team, and I am your moderator for this evening. Big Future is a team of former educators, parents, college and career planning pros, and others who are committed to helping all students take the right first step after high school. As Shylin said, our goal at Big Future Live is to answer your questions. You won't sit through long presentations or tons of PowerPoint slides. This is really meant to be a virtual community powered by students, parents, and your questions. All students want to find scholarships. So tonight we've brought you scholarship experts to talk about how to find one and what they look for when reviewing applications. Plus, you can win scholarships from Big Future. You can qualify for $500 and $40,000 if you complete steps on your Big Future dashboard. We have a lot of folks with us today, which is amazing. We'd love to know who is here with us to help us answer your questions. So we're going to launch our first quick poll. If you're a student, what grade are you in? And if you are a parent, what grade is your child in? I will give you a few seconds to respond. let's see, who do we have here? Responses are coming in. All right, we have a nice mix of 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. It looks like our 11th graders are our biggest audience. But either way, whether you are in 9th grade or 12th grade, welcome all. Big Future Live is for everybody. Tonight's 45-minute session is going to fly by, so let's dive in and meet our panelists. I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves and tell us your name, your job title, and where you work, and a fun fact about you. I'm going to kick it off with Alan. Alan, take it on.
Thank you, Kat. Good evening, everyone. Happy almost Friday. My name is Alan Royal, and I'm Director of Outreach and Partnerships at the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation. And one quick fun fact about me, I'm an obsessive music collector. So I have over 1,000 records that I've accumulated throughout my life and still counting. So I know we all listen to music on streaming services mostly now, but I still like to put on a record. So that's kind of a cool fact. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Alan. That is an impressive record collection. All right, Claire, you're going to be up next.
Great. Thanks, Kat. Hi, I'm Claire Berge-Schmidt. I am Marketing Director at Scholarship America, the nation's largest administrator of private scholarships. And my fun fact is that while I have spent most of my career in marketing, I didn't go to school for that. I actually studied history and museum education and worked at the Baseball Hall of Fame early in my career. And share that with this group especially, just because you never know where your education and your passions will take you.
Thank you, Claire. Fun fact, I also worked in museums before coming to College Board, so shout out to museums. All right, let's go to Jamie next.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jamie Williams, Director of Scholarships for the Coca-Cola Scholars Foundation in Atlanta. Fun/relevant fact, I was a first-generation college student who benefited greatly from several different scholarships to help fund my undergraduate education.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Jamie. All right, Tabitha, you're up next.
Hi, my name is Tabitha Hicks. I am a mechanical engineering major at the University of South Florida. And a fun fact about me is that when I applied to school, I actually wanted to be a film major, and I somehow ended up in engineering. So it goes to show you never know what will change.
That is a big switch, but that's exciting for you. Thanks for being here tonight, Tabitha. All right, Shailyn, close us out.
Okay, as I said, I'm Shailyn Funky. I'm a current freshman at Washington University in St. Louis. And my fun fact is that I once got stuck in like a tiny hotel elevator with 20 other people for like an hour.
That does not sound like fun. I don't know what to call it a fun fact, but well, thank you all so much for being here and joining us tonight. We're so excited to have you. Before we jump in, we are going to go over some housekeeping. During today's event, all of you, other than my panelists, will be in listen-only mode for the entire event. That means that you can see us, but we cannot see you. But that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. There is an Ask a Question box at the bottom of the screen where you can type in your questions. Big Future Scholarship is where Scholarship Week is where you get your questions answered, so don't be shy. Now, there's a lot of people on this call, but we are going to do our absolute best to get to as many questions as possible. We'll also have a feedback survey at the end of the event that we'll send to you to see how today's session went. We really want to get your feedback so you can tell us how we can make the next event even better. If you miss anything during the event or you have to walk away from your computer or phone for a moment, don't worry. The recording will be available later on demand at bigfuture.org/live. Now, as I've said, Big Future Scholarship Week is all about getting your questions answered. So I want you to tell us, what topics are you most interested in hearing about today? Go ahead and answer on the next quick poll on your screen. Let's see what everyone is excited to learn about. All right, well, you can see hundreds of answers coming in. It looks like everyone is really interested in learning how to find other scholarships, as well as tips on strengthening application. So that's really helpful to know, and great news, you are in the right place. So we're gonna dive right into your questions. Our first question is from Nishita. Nishita asks, where can you apply for scholarships and when should you start applying? I'm gonna kick this one over to Claire.
Yeah, that's a great question. And representing Scholarship America, highly encourage you to visit scholarshipamerica.org and create a profile on our hub platform. We list a ton of scholarships. We manage about 1,300 different scholarships for organizations, foundations, private donors. So I would check out our website first and foremost. A great place to look for other scholarships is also on social media. Search hashtags. I know Scholarship America, we are really active on Instagram promoting scholarships as they open and are available. Google is your friend as well. I would recommend starting broad with your keyword search. So scholarships open now, and then get more specific to your own interests and identities. What else can I tell you? Now, it's always a great time to look for scholarships. I would say from my perspective, we're just ramping up with scholarship openings. This is really our season for scholarships opening, but it's always the right time to take a look and start a spreadsheet of when things are opening and closing and keeping an eye on those open and close deadlines.
Thanks, Claire. That's really great advice to start a spreadsheet and keep an eye on when all those deadlines open and close. And so this is a good place to remind everybody that Big Future is also a great place to find scholarships. So scholarships are free money that you can use to help pay for college, but you can find over 14,000 scholarships on Big Future. And there's actually over $4 billion in scholarships that you may qualify for. So great reminder, you can check Big Future and find scholarships there. All right. Nishita also asks, what are you looking for in a student when deciding to give a scholarship? I'm going to toss this first to Alan and then to Jamie.
Thanks. Yeah, another great question. So the first thing that I would encourage you to do always is to check eligibility requirements and review selection criteria for any scholarships that you plan to apply for, just to make sure that they're the right fit for you, and that you kind of know how to tailor your application and what to emphasize as you're working on writing essays and talking to your teachers with the recommendations that they're writing for you. So that's very important. And then a little bit further than that, I would say, you know, at the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, we're always interested in students telling us their authentic stories. You know, we get a lot of amazing students applying for the scholarship, but we really want to hear what makes them unique, what their unique interests are, and a little bit about what they've been able to overcome throughout their time in high school. So I would say telling us that unique story is important.
Yeah, telling your unique story and being as authentic as possible. I echo that with what Alan said. Once you've applied and determined that the criteria you're pursuing do align with what you are applying for the scholarship, for the Coca-Cola Scholars, for example, we are looking for students who are submitting something that's going to help them stand out from a pool of tens of thousands. And I can say not just for our scholarship, I've been a reader for Jack Kent Cooke and dozens of other scholarship programs. Those students who are willing to be authentic and vulnerable and tell a little bit about themselves beyond the standard 3 to 5 paragraph essay response, and maybe take a little bit of risk with what they're sharing, not disclose too much necessarily or be awkward or create uncomfortableness for yourself or the reader, but just tell us who you are and what's important to you, why you've chosen to spend your time the way you have, and the impact that you've had in your school and community is important for us to see.
Thank you both, Alan and Jamie. It sounds like students should think about how to be authentic and kind of share what's going to differentiate them from others. So really helpful advice. Our next question from Cynthia. Cynthia asks, are there fraud risks in searching for and applying for scholarships? And Gabriella asks a related question. How do I know which scholarships are legit? I'm going to toss this one over to Claire.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that is a real risk. And I would say never provide your social security or personal identifying information on the front end. Wait until you get the bag. Is that the right use of it? So I would just caution you against that. Legitimacy, trust, and authenticity is an issue across the board when it comes to the internet. So I would just encourage you to do your homework. If you see an opportunity, check them out on social, make sure that there's, live links. I would do your research in that way. Again, as a nonprofit, Scholarship America prides ourselves on only partnering with people in corporations and organizations that are legit. So that's one way. Big Futures, I think, is a great way to lean on that organization and those opportunities to vet those for you as well.
Thanks, Claire. Yeah, I think it's really important to look for scholarships on places and sources that you trust. And as Claire mentioned, Scholarship America, Big Future are places where you know you're going to find real resources, and then do your research on the back end. Our next question is from Tama. She asks, what time should I apply for scholarships? And I'm going to toss this one over to Jamie. What time should I apply for scholarships?
I'm looking at the question in the chat. It's posted several times. The time frame to apply for scholarship is when they open and you are eligible. For Koch Scholars, for example, you are eligible for consideration only in your final year of high school. There are some scholarships you can apply for in 9th or 10th grade, and you're just banking it until you get to college. Or maybe those would fund some opportunities for SAT, ACT prep, that kind of thing. So can be a year-round process. It certainly intensifies the back half of junior year into senior year. I would echo, I think it's what Claire said earlier about organizing yourself, creating a spreadsheet with links and deadlines and tracking your own progress as you're submitting it. Because when you start applying for scholarships, you're going to start finding more and more and more scholarships to apply for. You're going to become a savvy searcher. And so to keep track of everything, I encourage you to have some sort of system in place, and just know that as you start applying for scholarships, it becomes almost an unpaid 20-hour-a-week job. Hopefully it does pay eventually in scholarships, but it's going to be like taking another 2 or 3 credits worth, or 2 or 3 classes on top of your regular class load in the year that you're taking or pursuing the scholarships. But whenever they open, if you're eligible, apply. If you don't apply, you're not going to get it. Only by applying do you have a chance of getting it.
Thank you, Jamie. That's really helpful advice. Tabitha, can you tell us a little bit about when you started applying and what the process looked like?
Yeah, of course. So I started applying in the November of my senior year. I know people who started earlier than that. I know people who started later than that. But for me personally, I started submitting my college applications. So when I started doing that, it was more of just a figuring out as it goes kind of thing. I was very lucky in having very supportive counselors and teachers and career specialists and things like that at my school who were able to help me out along the way. But there is a learning curve as you realize what people want and what companies are looking for within the applicant. So I think mostly just read up on the website what they're looking for. And there's a lot of local scholarships too that might not be online, but if you ask around, there's definitely so many around that are going to be easier to apply to and less selective in a way.
Yeah, that's really helpful advice, and a reminder that local scholarships can be a good option for a lot of students. All right, our next question is from Lisa asks, will volunteer hours allow me to get a scholarship? Alan, can you answer this one? Will volunteer hours allow me to get a scholarship?
Sure. Yes. So I'll refer back to my previous answer a little bit in saying just a reminder to look at the requirements and what the scholarship that you're applying for is asking you to talk about. You'll want to keep that in mind as you're working on and deciding what to focus on. But generally speaking, absolutely, volunteer work is important. I would say extracurricular activities and involvement outside of the classroom is important in general to help get a sense of, you know, what type of person you are and the well-roundedness that you present as a student. So I don't think it's great to try to accumulate a lot of volunteer hours sort of aimlessly. You know, you want to use your time wisely and focus on the areas that you're really passionate and interested in. But within those areas, absolutely, we want to know about that volunteer work that you're doing.
That's great. Thanks, Alan. I think that's really helpful advice to kids to consider, you know, don't do everything, but find what matters and what's important and what you're passionate about. And that can really help, give you something else to talk about on your scholarship applications. So our next question is from Suk, and Suk asks, how does Big Future pick scholarship recipients? So I'm going to take this one. So as you complete steps on your Big Future dashboard, you are actually entered into monthly drawings for $500 or $40,000 scholarships. So the more steps you complete, the more opportunities you have to win Big Future scholarships. And the sooner you complete the steps, the more chances you will have to win. So this is a great reminder for all of our students who are with us tonight to go to your Big Future dashboard, log in, and see what steps are open to you currently to complete, to be entered into those entries for $40,000 or $500 scholarships. And let's see, what is our next question? Our next question, Chloe asks, how can Big Future money be used if you win? How did your $40,000 scholarship from Big Future help? This one is obviously for Shailyn and Tabitha.
I guess I can go first then. The Big Future money, a lot of it is like for like tuition and like that type of thing. I'm not sure if you can use it on like housing or that kind of stuff. If you do, I think you might have to pay taxes on it. I'm not completely sure though. Someone might need to correct me. For me though, it ended up just really helping me have more options in where I could go to college, because the school I'm at now did end up giving me enough scholarship money, but some of the other ones didn't. But like with a scholarship, I would have been able to pay for them. Okay, Greg says that winners can use these scholarships to cover tuition fees, books, and other school expenses.
So this scholarship can cover it, but what I did is I talked to my school and we worked it out, and I was able to use my other financial aid and scholarships that I got to cover other things that wouldn't be covered by the scholarship. So it's really supplemental in the way that you just have to work with your school and Scholarship America and just figure it out how best it works for you, because everyone is different. But for me, it was the same thing. It really helped in taking away that stress in the financial aspect and like letting me look at where I really wanted to go and where I would be happy rather than where it was cheapest for me. So it's really good in that kind of way.
Perfect. That was really helpful. Thank you so much. So this is a really good reminder, again, that Big Future scholarships are an option for you to complete those steps and enter into those entries. So the sooner you complete your steps, the more chances you have to win. And as Shailyn said, winners who can use these scholarships to cover tuition fees, books, and other school expenses. Another common question we get about Big Future scholarships is if you can win multiple times. And fun fact, the answer is yes. You can win multiple $500 scholarships. You could even win a $40,000 scholarship and a $500 scholarship, but unfortunately, you cannot win two $40,000 scholarships. So this is your friendly reminder to log in and complete steps on your dashboard. And soon, we could even surprise you at your school as our next $40,000 winner.
Is there a Jose Martinez here? Can you come on up, Jose? So Jose's been working on Big Future. I have a note that says he's been doing actually a lot of the steps. Do you remember doing any of the steps? So every month we have an opportunity to award $500 or potentially two each month, $40,000 scholarship. Because you've done such great work on Big Future. You have actually had an opportunity to win a scholarship. What do you think? So Jose's very, very excited, and what I heard him say is, I'm so excited to hear what you have to say next that I'm speechless. That's actually what he said to me. Because you did the work on Big Future, because you did those steps, you, sir, you, through your productive work, have won a $40,000
My name's Jose Martinez. I'm a senior at Denmark High School in Alpharetta, Georgia. I won $40,000 scholarship from Big Future. I was literally speechless at first when they announced that I won. I'm going to be able to pursue my interest in, international affairs or international business, management, or finance. My dream school is UGA, but I'm going to Georgia State to wisely use the money, get the bachelor's, and then pursue a further degree with UGA. Hopefully become, the first one in my family, graduate from a university or college. Never thought anybody would start chanting my name, especially a big crowd of my peers. Right now, it still feels like a dream. A $40,000 scholarship that could help you immensely, especially if you need any help with financial aid or to be able to accomplish your dreams that you wish to. And I know now that I will be able to accomplish the dreams that I really wish.
I love watching those videos. They always make me so happy. As a reminder, sophomore, juniors, and seniors can learn more at bigfuture.org/scholarships. And we have gotten a few more questions about Big Future Scholarship. So I'm going to take those before I send some more questions back to our panel. So Keisha is wondering, will my child be eligible to qualify for scholarships even if the household income is above $60,000? For Big Future scholarships, there are no income requirements to earn a scholarship from Big Future. There's no GPA, no test scores, essay requirements. For students who are eligible for Big Future scholarships, if your family income is below $60,000, you'll get extra chances to win scholarships through the monthly drawings. But students who have a family income above that are also still eligible. Related to this, we got a question. Are these specific scholarships, Big Future scholarships, only for straight A students or kids who have struggled during high school or will kids who have struggled during high school have a chance based on some other criteria? So for Big Future scholarships, there are no GPA or test score requirements for our scholarships. So that's a great reminder. These are for everybody. You are rewarded for completing the steps that we know matter for going to and getting into college. So you can check on your dashboard which steps you are eligible for and start completing those steps. Our next question, many students are asking, how does Big Future pick scholarship recipients? So I'm going to toss this one over to Shailyn.
Yeah, so basically you just log into Big Future and it has or at least it did have this thing where it's okay, study for the SAT or do your FAFSA. And after you finished each step, I just clicked a little button and said, okay, I did it. And then it's just completing steps to build your college list and stuff like that. And you're going to do it anyways. And all you have to do is click a button and then they pick you. And so it's very easy.
It is. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. It's really easy. It's automatic. So as you complete the steps on your Big Future dashboard, you are automatically start earning those entries into the drawings for $500 or $40,000 scholarships from Big Future. So you have drawings every single month. So the sooner you start and the more steps on your dashboard you complete, the more chances you will have to win scholarships from Big Future. Our next question from Zena. You guys say to be authentic and yourself, but I haven't done anything great. So how do I make my scholarship interesting and authentic? Let's start with Jamie on this one. If I haven't done anything great, how do I be, interesting and authentic?
Well, depending on what grade you're in, you may have a little bit of time to do interesting, great things along the way. But also you are an individual who exists in the world and has unique individual thoughts and ways of approaching life and things that you appreciate that distinguish you from others. So it may not be a matter of founding a club or doing research or doing 2,000 hours a week of volunteer experience, but there's something unique and distinct about you. I would encourage you to meet with your guidance counselor if you have that as a great resource available to you. If not, there's a lot of great resources online that you can find to help you kind of take different assessments, personality assessments, to learn more about yourself and how that personality style shows up in the world, what sort of careers they track. But I mean, again, depending on what grade you're in, you've got some time. So hopefully you'll take this advice and say, hey, I need to be doing a few things to stand out in scholarship applications as well as college applications.
I would also say, if I could weigh in, don't be so hard on yourself. I think you probably have a lot higher expectations than some of the scholarship providers out there do. And I would say that we also acknowledge that you probably have a lot of responsibilities that you just assume is the norm. That may not be. If you are providing care for a sibling, if you are providing care for a grandparent, we want to know about that. I think that's something that you can put in your short answer responses. That would be interesting for a scholarship provider to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are really good answers. And stop being so hard on yourself is such good advice, especially for everyone these days. Our next question from Esmeralda. She wants to know, would it be good to start applying for scholarships now as a junior or wait until the end of junior year or the start of senior year? Claire, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I would say knowing time is limited, probably your best use of time, and considering the number of scholarships we manage that are for high school seniors, start getting your recommenders ready and start seeking out those teachers or individuals in your life that would be willing to write you a recommendation. A lot of our programs do require a recommendation letter, sometimes two. So I would say that would probably be, as a junior, really the best use of your time. Start writing your short answer responses and save them in a Google Doc, because you never know, you might be able to use your short answer response in multiple applications. So I would say rather than actually applying, just get all your materials ready to go. Just considering the limited time, that would be my recommendation.
Kat, if I could jump into speaking of a Google Doc, you're going to be asked to submit a lot of the same thing for every scholarship application. So instead of starting over, start creating now basically a resume, a list of all the things you're doing in your leadership, service, involvement, work, in your community, in your school that you could copy and paste from and not have to start over each time. Because if you have to start over each time, you're going to feel defeated and aren't going to want to proceed with it. But if it's a quick copy, paste, and adapt a little bit, it'll go much quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Jamie, you mentioned this earlier, there are actually some scholarships that are for juniors. So if you're starting to look for scholarships as a junior and you see one that you can apply to as a junior, it's always a good idea to keep an eye out for those. And obviously those you'd want to apply for whatever the application period is. But it's never too early to start looking for scholarships and kind of keeping a tab on which ones you might be eligible for, depending on which grade you are. Our next question is from Sophia, and she asks, do community colleges accept scholarships? I'm going to toss this one to Alan.
Yeah, so generally speaking, I'm going to say yes. I think it's a good idea always to check with, individual colleges and institutions that you're looking at applying to get a firm understanding of what financial aid is available. Because when you do that, you might realize that there are scholarships that you can apply to at the college as well. But yeah, to my understanding, certainly there are scholarship opportunities received by community colleges. Yes.
And if you win a $500 or $40,000 scholarship from Big Future, that can absolutely be used at 2-year or 4-year institutions as well. So it's good to both check with the community college or the institution, as well as whichever scholarship providers you are getting scholarships from. Thanks so much, Alan. This one I'm also going to give to you, Alan. Georgina asks if there is an income or academic requirement for the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation Scholarship.
Yes, so glad you asked that. Thank you, Georgina. So yes, there's a few different scholarships, but for most of you on this call, you'll be thinking about the Cooke College Scholarship. If you're looking at Jack Kent Cooke Foundation scholarships, to be eligible to apply, you need to earn a 3.5 GPA, cumulative GPA in high school, and your family needs to earn a maximum of $95,000 annually. So if you meet both of those requirements and you are in your senior year, so for juniors next fall is when you would be looking to apply for the Cooke College Scholarship.
Great. Thank you, Alan. Our next question is from Val, and Val asks, can I get a scholarship as a sophomore? Val, you were in the right place because 10th graders actually now qualify for scholarships from Big Future. You can log into Big Future and complete steps on the dashboard to be entered into those monthly drawings for $540,000 now as a sophomore, which is super exciting. our panelists, do you guys have any other advice for what 10th graders should be thinking about doing right now? Anybody can jump in here.
I wouldn't say stress too much about applying for scholarships right now. There are some out there you can apply for in the 10th grade, but think more about, going back to that earlier question, making yourself as interesting as possible, saying yes to opportunities, pursuing clubs, pursuing service on and off campus. I've got an 11th grader, so I've been living this for the last couple of years. And as a professional, it's weird to see him resistant to the advice I'm giving. Like, I do this for a living, dude, listen. But told him to pay attention to where the seniors are graduating and getting scholarships from, and make a mental note or an actual note in a Google Doc, so that when it's time for you to apply, you can say, oh, so-and-so got this. And if that guy can get it, certainly I can get it. But not, to be joking there, but start paying attention to where what people around you are doing and how they're being successful would be a great place to start. And it's a light lift too, just to say, oh, so-and-so is going to this college or got this scholarship.
Shailene or Tabitha, do you want to jump in here? Any advice for sophomores?
I would really just say focus on what's happening right now. With your classes, your grades, a lot of the scholarships have GPA requirements and stuff like that. Work on building your writing skills for your essays and looking into forming those relationships and becoming like officers for clubs. Like Jamie said, those extracurriculars are really, really important. And so it's good to have leadership experience when you're applying, because that's going to be obvious on your applications, especially for college and scholarships. So I think that's really important. Just focus on what you can do right now as well as preparing.
Yeah, I agree with what they both said. I also think for me, it really helped to make a spreadsheet very early on with all my awards, all my clubs, all my leadership activities, that kind of thing. It'll also help with college applications too. So then whenever you start applying to that kind of stuff, senior or junior year, whenever you do it, you won't be forgetting something. It'll be all right there, and it'll just make it a lot easier.
That's really helpful. So it sounds like a lot of people are going to be making spreadsheets after today's event. One more question for Claire. Claire, is it possible to qualify for actually good scholarships without having citizenship? This is a big problem for this specific student.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I would say there's no straightforward answer. We try to be very explicit in the scholarships that we manage, who can apply on the landing page, just describing eligibility. So for one program that we manage, the Dream Award, we encourage DACA students to apply. And so I would say, again, check the eligibility. And then when it comes to FAFSA potentially being a barrier, I know Scholarship America has their own proprietary calculation to determine financial need that doesn't require that document. So if you see, if that's a barrier, I would say message or email the contact information and just say, is there another way to talk about my financial need without using FAFSA? I would always reach out and ask, and you don't have to mention that it's a citizenship or residency issue at all.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. That's really helpful to remind students that they can always reach out and ask, whether it's to an institution, a scholarship provider. Everybody wants to help you. So that's really good advice. All right, our question from Elizabeth. Elizabeth asks, hello, I already have an entry entered because I did the career list. What are the other ways that I can enter to a chance to obtain the Big Future Scholarship? Well, great work, Elizabeth. You're already ahead of the curve. So glad you are exploring careers on Big Future and that you've saved your career list to qualify for those $500 or $40,000 scholarships. Next, you want to look out for Build Your College List on your dashboard. When you complete that step, you'll also be entered into those drawings. So keep doing the steps on your dashboard to continue to win chances for money for college from Big Future. We are quickly running out of time, so I'm going to ask two people to answer this next question. What is the one thing students should know about finding scholarships and funding their future? Let's start with Alan.
Yeah, I think, the one thing that I would say is pretty straightforward and we've kind of talked a lot about it already, is to not let the thoughts of, I'm not going to receive this anyway, or it's too much extra work, or, there are all these barriers set up, and to not let those thoughts stop you from taking action, from doing your research, applying to the ones that you're eligible for, because there are a lot of scholarship opportunities available. A lot of money is being awarded every year. So, you know, as Jamie and Claire have both said many times, give yourself the opportunity by doing the research and applying. That would be my one piece of advice.
Great. Thank you so much, Alan. Shailyn, you want to close us out?
Yeah. So I know we're talking about national scholarships a lot tonight, but for me, I very much think that you guys need to be looking at local scholarships and scholarships at the college you choose to go to. You will be competing with a lot less people. You'll get more money from that. That's what I did. Like, that's where I got most of my money. It's just the best chance you have to get as much money as you need.
That is absolutely great advice. Thank you so much, Shailyn. Well, unfortunately, that is all the questions we have time for today. That went so fast. I'd really like to thank our special guests for joining us tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And before you go, remember that Big Future is here to help you take your next step after high school, and you can earn $40,000 or $500 scholarships all along the way. This could be you, so let's take a look.
Because you practiced for the SAT on Big Future, you were entered into the scholarship, and we drew your name this month, and you have won a $40,000
Ariana went into Big Future, and she added 6 schools to her college list. Well, guess what, Ariana? You won.
You are the winner of a $40,000 Big Future Scholarship Summer College Board.
$40,000!
You won a $40,000 scholarship.
This is the right card. If you can't see it, every single one of you are getting $40,000.
$40,000.
I wish I would have known about these programs earlier because I could have been applying last year.
This really just opens up so many more opportunities for me.
I say use it. Give it a chance. You never know what's going to happen. You deserve $40,000 from Big Future.
Well, thanks to everybody for joining us tonight for Big Future Scholarships Week and this whole week long of events. We'd love to hear how today's session went. So after the event closes tonight, you'll automatically be redirected to a feedback survey. We'd really appreciate if you complete that and help us make our next events even better. And as I said earlier, if you missed anything during today's session, don't worry. The recording will be available later on demand at bigfuture.org/live. And don't forget to join us next week for our final Big Future Live event of the year, your PSAT, SAT, your career connection. Experts at Roblox will help you understand the benefits of career navigation and how your PSAT and SAT scores fit into your career planning. You can register today at bigfuture.org/live, and you really won't want to miss this one. Thanks, everybody. Have an absolutely wonderful night.